On August 2nd, 1979, the New York Yankees had a day off. Their captain, Thurman Munson, flew home to Canton, Ohio, to spend time with his wife Diana and their 3 children. He had been doing this all season, commuting by plane so he could be with his family whenever the schedule allowed. He brought 2 friends along, David Hall, his flight instructor, and Jerry Anderson, a business partner. Unfortunately, something went wrong. The plane came in too low, too slow. It clipped a tree, struck a stump, and crashed 870 feet short of runway 19. The aircraft burst into flames. Thurman Munson was 32 years old. The news hit the Yankees like a freight train. George Steinbrenner personally called each player to deliver the devastating message. Greg Nettles, who had flown with Munson in that same plane just weeks earlier, was in disbelief. Catfish Hunter, who considered Munson his best friend on the team, was inconsolable. The entire baseball world stopped to mourn a man who had been, just hours before, very much alive. This is the story of the captain, the heart and soul of the 1970s Yankees. A man who played baseball with a fury that bordered on anger. A man who demanded excellence from himself and everyone around him. A man whose life ended far too soon, but whose legend has only grown in the decades since. Thurman Lee Munson was born on June 7, 1947, in Akron, Ohio. He was the youngest of 4 children born to Darrell Munson, a World War II veteran who became a long-haul truck driver, and Ruth Smiley, a homemaker. The family had little money. Darrell's job kept him on the road for weeks at a time, and when he was home, he was not an easy man to please. He rarely praised his children. He demanded perfection and offered only criticism when they fell short. Some who knew Thurman believed this upbringing shaped everything about him. The chip on his shoulder, the refusal to accept compliments gracefully, the burning need to prove himself every single day. The man Thurman Munson became was forged in that difficult childhood. Thurman's older brother, Dwayne, taught him to play baseball in their backyard in Canton, where the family moved when Thurman was 8. Dwayne was 4 years older, and Thurman constantly competed against kids his brother's age. It made him tougher. It made him better. It also gave him something to prove. When Dwayne left to join the United States Air Force during Thurman's freshman year of high school, the younger Munson had to find his own way forward. At Lehman High School in Canton, Munson was a 3-sport star. He captained the football, basketball, and baseball teams, earning all-city and all-state honors in all 3 sports. His senior year, he batted .581 on the baseball diamond. More than 80 colleges offered him football scholarships, but baseball was his passion, and Kent State University, just 30 miles from home, offered him a full ride. There was another reason he chose Kent State. A girl named Diana Dominic lived nearby. They had been sweethearts since childhood. Diana had been signing her name as Mrs. Thurman Munson since the 6th grade. Staying close to home meant staying close to her. Munson arrived at Kent State as a shortstop. His coach saw something different. He persuaded Munson that his future was behind the plate, that catching would give him a better chance at a professional career. The switch was immediate and permanent. Munson approached catching the way he approached everything, with total commitment and fierce intensity. His freshman season was shortened by rain, but he still hit .416 in limited action. As a senior, Munson hit .413 and was named a college baseball All-American. In the summer of 1967, he played in the Cape Cod League, the premier summer league for college talent. He led the Chatham Athletics to their first league title while batting a prodigious .420. The league's batting champion award still bears his name today. In September of 1968, Thurman and Diana were married at St. John's Church in Canton. A few months earlier, the New York Yankees had selected Munson with the 4th overall pick in the draft. He reported to AA Binghamton and immediately made an impression, posting an .859 OPS in his first professional season. The following spring, the Yankees knew they had something special. Munson made his major league debut on August 8, 1969, going 2 for 3 with a walk and 2 runs scored against Oakland. 2 days later, he hit his first home run, the second of 3 consecutive Yankees homers in a victory over the Athletics. He was 22 years old. That winter, the Yankees traded their starting catcher, Frank Fernandez, clearing a path for their young prospect. Munson responded by hitting .302 with 6 home runs and 57 RBIs in 1970. He led American League catchers with 80 assists. He won the Rookie of the Year award, becoming the first catcher in American League history to receive that honor. The Yankees were not good in those years. They had not been to the World Series since 1964. They would not return until 1976. But during that wilderness period, Thurman Munson was becoming one of the best catchers in baseball. In 1971, Munson made his first All-Star team. He led the league in fielding percentage and caught stealing percentage. In 1973, he won his first Gold Glove award, hit .300 for the first time since his rookie year, and clubbed a career-high 20 home runs. He would win the Gold Glove again in 1974 and 1975. Defensive abilities were exceptional for Munson. He had the quickest release in the American League, a snap throw that terrorized base runners. In his early years, before shoulder problems diminished his arm strength, he was nearly impossible to steal on. He was also a master at handling pitches, calling games with an intelligence that belied his gruff exterior. His rivalry with Boston's Carlton Fisk became one of the defining storylines of the era. The two catchers could not have been more different in style or temperament. Fisk was tall, handsome, and media-friendly. Munson was stocky, surly, and suspicious of reporters. Fisk played with elegance. Munson played like he was angry at the baseball. The animosity was real. On August 1, 1973, at Fenway Park, it boiled over. With the score tied in the 9th inning and Munson on third base, the Yankees attempted a suicide squeeze. The bunt was missed and Munson barreled toward home plate. Fisk braced himself. Munson crashed into him like a freight train. Fisk held onto the ball for the out, but Munson did not retreat. The two catchers remained tangled, wrestling on the ground as the benches emptied. The brawl lasted 10 minutes. Both men were ejected. The incident crystallized everything about the rivalry between the Yankees and the Red Sox of that decade, fierce, physical, and deeply personal. Munson never backed down from the comparison to Fisk. He believed he was the better player and bristled at any suggestion otherwise. Competition drove him. Every time the Yankees faced Boston, every time he stepped into the batter's box against Red Sox pitching, he was trying to prove something. But it was 1975 when Munson truly emerged as a superstar. He batted .318, third best in the league behind Rod Carew and Fred Lynn. He drove in 102 runs. He made the All-Star team for the 4th time. The Yankees were improving, and their catcher was leading the way. Before the 1976 season, the Yankees made Munson their captain. It was the first time the franchise had bestowed that honor on anyone since Lou Gehrig retired in 1939. The symbolism was not lost on Munson or his teammates. He was expected to lead, and he did. Munson responded with an MVP season. He hit .302 with 17 home runs and 105 RBIs. He made the All-Star team, he guided a young pitching staff, and he led the Yankees to their first pennant in 12 years. In the American League Championship Series against Kansas City, Munson was spectacular. He batted .435 with 5 RBIs as the Yankees won in 5 games. In the World Series against Cincinnati's Big Red Machine, he was even better. He batted .529, going 9 for 17 with 2 runs scored. He got a hit in all 4 games, including 6 consecutive hits that tied a World Series record set by Goose Goslin in 1924. But the Reds swept the series, and after it ended, Reds manager Sparky Anderson made a comment that would haunt Munson for years. Asked to compare Munson to Johnny Bench, Anderson said Munson was an outstanding player who would hit 300 in the National League. Then he added words that cut deep. He said, "You do not ever compare anybody to Johnny Bench." Munson took it as an insult. He had just hit .529 in the World Series, had just won the MVP award, had just captained his team to its first pennant in over a decade. And the first thing anyone wanted to talk about was how he measured up to someone else. The slight festered. It drove him. It became part of who he was. The 1977 season was chaos from the start. George Steinbrenner signed free agent slugger Reggie Jackson to a 5-year contract worth nearly $3 million. Munson himself had encouraged the move, telling Steinbrenner to go get the big man, that Jackson could carry a team like nobody else. The owner signed Jackson despite the risks. What Munson did not expect was being overshadowed financially. He had been promised he would remain the highest-paid Yankee. Steinbrenner did not keep that promise. The betrayal stung. Then came the Sport magazine article. In late May, writer Robert Ward published an interview with Jackson that detonated like a bomb in the Yankees clubhouse. Jackson called himself the straw that stirs the drink. He said Munson could only stir it bad. He claimed he was the new leader of the team. The detonation upended the clubhouse. Whether Jackson was misquoted or taken out of context has been debated for decades. What is not debated is how Munson reacted. When backup catcher Fran Healy approached him to say Jackson claimed he had been misquoted, Munson's response was immediate. For 4 bleeping pages, the clubhouse fractured. Manager Billy Martin sided with Munson. Most of the veterans did too. Jackson found himself isolated with few allies beyond Willie Randolph and Fran Healy. The tension was constant and corrosive. The team split along fault lines. On June 18th at Fenway Park, it exploded on national television. The Yankees were playing Boston in a Saturday afternoon game broadcast on NBC. In the 6th inning, Jim Rice hit a fly ball to right field. Jackson jogged after it, allowing the ball to drop and bounce past him for a double. Martin was furious. Everything exploded in an instant. He sent Paul Blair out to replace Jackson in the middle of the inning. Jackson trotted in from right field, confused at first, then enraged. In the dugout, he confronted Martin. The two men screamed at each other, face to face, separated by inches. Martin lunged at Jackson. Coaches Yogi Berra and Elston Howard physically restrained him. The entire country watched. The confrontation was raw and immediate. It was pure chaos. Steinbrenner saw it on television and wanted to fire Martin immediately. But cooler heads prevailed. Munson told the owner that firing the manager would make things worse. Incredibly, so did Jackson himself. "If you fire Billy now," Jackson said, "it will look like I am running the team." The manager kept his job. The team kept playing. Despite everything, the 1977 Yankees won 100 games. Munson hit .308 with 100 RBIs, his 3rd consecutive season, batting over 300 with 100 or more driven in. No other catcher in American League history had accomplished that feat. In the American League Championship Series, he batted .286 with a home run and 5 RBIs as the Yankees beat Kansas City again. In the World Series against Los Angeles, Munson hit .320 with a home run and 3 RBIs. But the series belonged to Reggie Jackson, who hit 5 home runs, including 3 in the clinching Game 6 on 3 consecutive swings against 3 different pitchers. Jackson became Mr. October. Munson, who had been just as consistent throughout the postseason, watched from behind the plate as his rival achieved immortality. There is a moment captured on film from the final game. After Jackson hit his 3rd home run, Munson crouched behind home plate, watching the ball disappear into the night. His expression was unreadable. Was it admiration, jealousy, exhaustion, perhaps all 3? But after the final out, with champagne flowing in the clubhouse, something unexpected happened. Hours after the celebration began, Munson and Jackson were the last 2 players remaining in the locker room. The 2 men who had been at each other's throats all season found themselves alone together. They talked, they laughed, they embraced. Whatever their differences, they had won together. The reconciliation was unexpected. It was Munson who gave Jackson his famous nickname, Mr. October, the captain. bestowing recognition on the star. In that moment, the feud seemed to dissolve. The captain had acknowledged the moment, and the team stood united. The 1978 season brought more drama, but also more triumph. The Yankees fell 14 games behind Boston by July, a deficit that seemed insurmountable. Injuries plagued the roster. The clubhouse drama continued. At one point, Martin made comments about Jackson and Steinbrenner that got him fired in late July. He was replaced by Bob Lemon, whose calm demeanor steadied the ship. Then the Yankees caught fire. In early September, the Yankees traveled to Fenway Park for a 4-game series that became known as the Boston Massacre. They outscored the Red Sox 42-9 and swept all 4 games. Munson went 8 for 16 in the series, leading the charge. The 14-game deficit was gone. The race was tied. The teams finished the regular season deadlocked, forcing a 1-game playoff at Fenway. Bucky Dent's improbable 3-run home run, hit off a cracked bat, gave the Yankees the lead. They won 5-4 to capture the division. It remains one of the most famous games in baseball history. In the American League Championship Series against Kansas City, Munson delivered one of the defining moments of his career. With the series tied at 1 game apiece and the Yankees trailing 5-4 in the 8th inning of Game 3, Munson launched a towering drive off Doug Bird. The ball sailed 475 feet over Monument Park in left center field. It was the longest home run of his career, and it gave the Yankees a 6-5 victory. They clinched the pennant the next day. In the World Series, the Yankees faced the Dodgers again. They lost the first 2 games in Los Angeles, extending their World Series losing streak to 6 games dating back to 1976. The situation looked dire. Then they won the next 4 games in a row to claim their 2nd consecutive championship. Munson hit .320 with 7 runs batted in. In the 6th inning of Game 6, he drove in a crucial insurance run. And when the final out came, a foul pop off the bat of Ron Cey, it settled into Munson's mitt. He was the one holding the ball when the Yankees became champions again. He was at the peak of his career. 2 World Series rings, 7 All-Star selections, 3 Gold Gloves, a Most Valuable Player award, the first Yankee captain since Lou Gehrig, and he was only 31 years old. But something had changed in Munson. He was tired. The wear and tear of catching was taking its toll on his knees, his throwing arm, his entire body. Bursitis plagued his shoulder, his knees ached constantly. He played through injuries that would have sidelined other players, but the cumulative damage was real. More than the physical toll, he was homesick. He missed his wife Diana and their 3 children, daughters Tracy and Kelly, and son Michael. The baseball season meant months away from home, and for a man as devoted to his family as Munson was, the separation was agonizing. Since 1977, he had been asking Steinbrenner to trade him to Cleveland so he could be closer to Canton. The Indians were not good, but they were close to home. Munson would have accepted the move gladly. Steinbrenner refused. Munson was too valuable, too important, too much the face of the franchise. The owner could not imagine the Yankees without their captain, so Munson found another solution: he would fly. He earned his pilot's license in the spring of 1978 and immediately fell in love with aviation. Flying allowed him to see his family on off days, to sleep in his own bed, to be present for his children in a way the baseball schedule otherwise made impossible. The freedom was intoxicating. He bought 4 planes in 18 months, each one larger and more powerful than the last. He studied flight manuals obsessively, approaching aviation with the same intensity he brought to baseball. Some of his teammates worried that he was moving too fast, upgrading to more complex aircraft before he was ready. His final purchase was the Cessna Citation, a twin-engine jet that cost over $1 million. It was a serious machine, far more sophisticated than anything he had flown before. He received his type rating to fly it on July 17, 1979, just 11 days after it was delivered. 16 days later, he was dead. The 1979 season had been difficult. The Yankees were in fourth place, 14 games behind Baltimore at the end of July. Munson was hitting .288 but had been left off the All-Star team for the first time since 1972. He was exhausted, in pain, and seriously considering retirement at the end of the year. On August 1st, the Yankees played the White Sox in Chicago. Munson went 0 for 1 as a late-inning replacement. It was his last game. The next day, while the team traveled, Munson flew home to Canton. He spent the morning with his family, then went to the airport to practice in his new jet. He had told friends the plane was not handling right, and he wanted to figure out what was wrong. The crash occurred at approximately 4 in the afternoon. By evening, the entire sports world knew the captain was gone. The Yankees had a 4-game series against Baltimore scheduled to begin the next day. Steinbrenner considered canceling the games, but Bobby Murcer spoke with Diana Munson. She told him that Thurman would have wanted the team to play, so they played. On August 3rd, a crowd of 51,000 gathered at Yankee Stadium. Before the game, Cardinal Terrence Cook led a prayer. Robert Merrill sang "America the Beautiful." The crowd stood and applauded for 8 minutes. When the Yankees took the field, the catcher's position remained empty. Jerry Narron, Munson's backup, stayed in the dugout as a tribute. The Yankees lost 1-0 in one of the most emotional games in franchise history. The scoreboard displayed a message that would become etched in Yankees lore. Our captain and leader has not left us today, tomorrow, this year, next. Our endeavors will reflect our love and admiration for him. 3 days later, on August 6th, the team flew to Canton for Munson's funeral. The service was held at the Canton Civic Center. 500 people filled the building while thousands more gathered outside. The entire Yankees roster attended. So did players from around the league who had competed against Munson and respected him. Lou Piniella delivered the first eulogy. He had been one of Munson's closest friends, a fellow competitor who understood the captain's intensity. Piniella fought back tears as he spoke of their friendship, their shared love of competition, their bond as teammates. Then Bobby Murcer rose to speak. He and Piniella had stayed at Mercer's home in Chicago the night before the crash, the last time they saw Munson alive. They had talked late into the night. They had made plans for the rest of the season. And then Munson had flown home to Canton, and everything changed. Standing at the podium, Mercer's voice cracked as he delivered words that still resonate decades later. He lived, he led, he loved, Mercer said. Whatever he was to each one of us, he should be remembered as a man who followed the basic principles of life. He lived with his wife Diana and his 3 children. Mercer swung at the first pitch and launched it into the right field seats. A 3-run home run. The score was 4-3. The crowd at Yankee Stadium erupted. Mercer circled the bases in a daze. In the dugout, Piniella grabbed him and held on. The comeback was alive. In the 9th, Baltimore's Tippy Martinez walked Dent to lead off the inning. Randolph laid down a bunt, and Martinez threw the ball wildly into right field, putting runners on second and third. Mercer came up again, this time against a left-handed pitcher with whom he had historically struggled. Martinez got 2 quick strikes. The count was 0-2. One more strike and the inning would continue with someone else at the plate. Then Mercer lined the next pitch down the left field line. 2 runs scored. The Yankees won 5-4. The crowd exploded. Mercer's teammates mobbed him at first base, then in the dugout. Piniella and Mercer found each other and embraced, both of them weeping openly. Guidry, who had pitched all 9 innings, collapsed onto the bench in exhaustion and relief. It was perhaps the most emotional victory in Yankees history. It was certainly the most emotional game Bobby Mercer ever played. Mercer never used that bat again. He gave it to Diana Munson. The Yankees immediately retired. Munson's number 15, his locker in the clubhouse, was never reassigned. For nearly 3 decades it stood empty in the original Yankee Stadium, a silent tribute to the captain. Players who came after him, Don Mattingly, Derek Jeter, and Jorge Posada, all knew whose locker it was and what it represented. When the old Yankee Stadium closed in 2008, the locker was moved in one piece to the new stadium, where it remains on display in the Yankees Museum. Visitors can see the pinstriped uniform hanging inside, the glove resting on the shelf, the nameplate that reads simply Munson. A plaque was dedicated in Monument Park on September 20th, 1980, honoring Munson as a fierce competitor and a hard-nosed leader who embodied the Yankee tradition. The inscription reads, "A leader by example. He was as respected as any man who ever wore the pinstripes." A street in the Bronx was named Thurman Munson Way, ensuring that his name would be a permanent part of New York City. The Thurman Munson Award Dinner has been held annually in New York City for more than 4 decades, honoring athletes and non-athletes for their charitable work and community involvement. It has become one of the most prestigious events in sports, a testament to the values Munson represented. His legacy extended beyond memorials and awards. Diana Munson remained connected to the Yankees for more than 40 years, appearing at Old Timers Day and team events, keeping her husband's memory alive for new generations of fans. She became close friends with Jorge Posada, the Yankees catcher who came after her husband, and with other players who wore the pinstripes decades after Thurman was gone. Their son, Michael, briefly played professional baseball in the Yankees organization, spending 2 years in the minor leagues before stepping away. He has spoken publicly about the pressure of living up to his father's name, of competing against a ghost he never really knew. The question of the Hall of Fame has lingered since Munson's death. He appeared on the baseball writers' ballot in 1981, just 2 years after the crash, but received only 62 votes, far short of the 75% required for induction. The prevailing theory is that his shortened career hurt him with voters who had witnessed his peak but knew he would never add to his totals. The numbers make a compelling case for induction. A career batting average of .292, 1,558 hits, 113 home runs, 701 runs batted in, 7 All-Star selections, 3 Gold Gloves, a Most Valuable Player award, 2 World Series championships, and perhaps most remarkably, a postseason record that few have ever matched. His October numbers were extraordinary: a .357 batting average across 6 playoff series, a .373 average in 3 World Series. He never batted below .300 in any postseason appearance. He threw out 4 of 6 base runners against the speedy Dodgers in the 1977 World Series. He was, by almost any measure, one of the greatest clutch performers the game has ever seen. Among catchers, his career WAR of 46.1 ranks 14th all-time. His JAWS score, which averages career and peak value, ranks 12th among backstops. He was the first catcher in American League history to have 4 consecutive seasons with 180 or more hits. He was named the American League Catcher of the Decade for the 1970s by The Sporting News. Only he, Bill Dickey, and Mike Piazza have had 3 consecutive seasons hitting .300 with 100 runs batted in while catching. But he played only 11 seasons. He died before he could pad his counting stats, before he could cement his legacy with the milestones that voters love. And so he remains outside looking in, considered periodically by veterans committees but never selected. Those who played with him and against him have never wavered in their assessment. Carlton Fisk called Munson the reason the Yankees became winners again. Tommy Lasorda said he was probably the best clutch hitter in baseball. Goose Gossage, the Hall of Fame closer, called Munson the greatest catcher he ever threw to, and his favorite teammate of his career. What would Thurman Munson have accomplished had he lived? It is impossible to say. He was 32 at the time of his death, an age when most catchers begin their decline. His body was breaking down. He was considering retirement, but he was also still one of the best catchers in baseball, still capable of hitting close to 300, still capable of leading a team to championships. Another 5 or 6 productive years would have added significantly to his career totals. Another pennant or two would have solidified his place among the all-time greats. What we know for certain is this: Thurman Munson was the heart and soul of the New York Yankees during their return to glory in the late 1970s. He was a leader in the clubhouse and on the field. He played through pain, through controversy, through personal anguish. He demanded excellence from himself and everyone around him. And when the games mattered most, in October he performed at a level few have ever matched. He was not polished. He was not graceful. He did not court the media or cultivate his image. He was gruff and competitive and sometimes difficult to deal with. He played baseball the way he lived his life, with intensity, with purpose, with an unwillingness to accept anything less than his absolute best. The Yankees have had 11 captains in their 120-year history. Hal Chase, Roger Peckinpah, Lou Gehrig, Thurman Munson, Derek Jeter, each of them defined their era. But it is Munson whose memory still resonates most powerfully in the Bronx. His number hangs in Monument Park. His locker stands untouched in the museum. His name is invoked whenever the conversation turns to what it means to be a Yankee, what it means to lead, what it means to give everything you have for the name on the front of the jersey. He wore the pinstripes for 11 seasons. He won 2 championships. He died doing what he loved, trying to get home to the family that meant everything to him. Thurman Munson was the captain, and in the hearts of Yankees fans everywhere, he always will be. Like and subscribe for more baseball documentaries. Until next time.